Okay, welcome everybody to the main event. This is the 173rd episode of the main event, and it's an interview with Israel Ayliffe, part 2, because he got very long-winded last time in May and never got around to the second part of his presentation. So we're delighted to have you back here today, and also I'm really happy to be able to have the whole group on August 21st. The 177th main event will be the whole House of Curiosity team. So that's going to be another terrific event. Well, we'll talk more about the upcoming events at the end of the session, but I do like to start off by talking about the news before we turn the floor over to you, Israel. The news is just so much stuff. I've got, I think, 14 or more posts on the comment section of today's event. And that's where that is, if everybody wants to see it. If you go to the link for today's event, the comment section has all kinds of news items that are, I think, worthy of you taking a look at. I'm going to go through them very, very quickly. Happy Horse by Alibaba, currently ranked number 1 for AI video. That's according to our friend Eugenio Ferrero in Rome. You know, once again, it's who's on top this week. Frankly, there are things that other programs have that are surpassing Happy Horse. For example, they're still doing 15-second segments. Video references in C-Dance 2 don't get enough attention. Arminius Valunas talking about everybody's chasing the perfect text prompt, and the fastest path to control is already here, feed it real footage. Well, that's great if you got real footage of what you want to do, and still a worthy article to take a look at. Black Forest Labs just revealed Flux 3, one multimodal model for image, video, audio, and action predictions. It's trained with a unified architecture and looks like some major improvements. And again, one of these sites where you can do multiple things, don't have to be bouncing around from different sites if you like the quality of what they're doing, for example, in audio. There's another thing that's happening on these things, and I think that I know that Kling has been doing this for a while, where you can, in one pass, get your audio and music background put onto it. Basically, if you outline what that's going to be, I think it will make up stuff if you've got it in generating sound mode. The action director that I built is amazing. Again, our friend Arminius Valernos, very interesting thing, introducing Runway Media Router. What it is doing is basically, rather than you telling it, handpicking which model it's going to use for doing a particular scene render, it will select what's the best program to use for that particular scene and then prompt that. 14-minute video is the best guide on generating high-quality cinematic videos with AI, talking about using C-Dance 2 4K on Higgsfield. So that's interesting. Ross Simons, not many know that you can do this in Midjourney. It's a simple reality. You can run multiple prompts in a single batch. In other words, you can put out a prompt and then in brackets list what you want have subject in it of the picture, but they'll all be treated in a similar way to the rest of your prompt. Demo of that. There's 3 news items here regarding 3D. This one says most robotic simulations look like PS2 games. That changed fast at Bitfrost. We've solved the real to simulated problem for enterprise robotic teams. I copied the latest announcement that was on Discord from OpenArt. Rev 2.1 and Fish Audio voice cloning are live, and generate 4K no upscaling, better style control, prompt following, nail consistency on brand visuals with strong design typography and more is listed there. Google Shell creates 3D accurate head models. It's creating models based on still images. Another 3D one, 3D and compositing straight into Comfy UI. Dubal, I guess, Doubao, Dubal Seed Audio 1.0 by ByteDance just got a serious upgrade. Seedance 2 prompt format nobody is using, storytelling mode. And that is an interesting post, and it was talking about being able to have a one continuous flowing story based on Pixel Fix is lighting shot to shot in their fashion shooting. And lastly, Israel posted a very interesting post this week, so I have included this. Israel, you can talk about that also if you wish. But this is the one with the various colors of hoodies combining two brands, one of which is Crayola. That was very interesting post. So we got a lot of things there, and I guarantee you that this is not all the news. It's just there's just so much stuff happening. I put in a variety of things because, like, some of you may or may not be interested in the 3D side of things. There's stuff for everybody there. So do take a look at the various links in the comment section of today's event. And now, without further ado, Israel, welcome back. Glad to have you with us.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to see you all after a long time. I can start off by saying this. A month is a very long time. So much has happened in between the last time we saw each other and now. Initially, what I had wanted to present, because of time itself, my thinking has changed a lot. I've been spending the last month dealing with a lot with life, but more so also just learning, going back to my foundations and trying to show those up. And what I'm gonna show you guys today is a loop that I use for generating specifically images and how I think about them, and how I save a state so that the next time I start, I'm starting from that state versus starting from scratch again. So I'm gonna go ahead and share and show you guys this. We are gonna be working in my codex. All right, so we're gonna check out this visual world building loop. This is a little site I put together with codex. All right. Okay, so what is the loop, right? So visual building loop, right? I start off with build the world before you polish whatever image you want, right? I usually explore, I put things together, I curate, I refine, and then I save that evidence for next time. What the loop actually is, right? So you explore wide, you choose with care, and you save the trail, right? So I personally look a lot, I make a lot of stuff, I mix a lot of stuff, I curate what works, I only fix what failed, I save the evidence, and I start again, right? So what is the loop? The loop is research, diverge, collide, curate, refine, compound. Okay, research. So before I make anything, you have to understand or find a way to figure out what the end state, what good will look like, because you're going to need that example to get to good, right? So you got to do your research, You can check out your mood boards if you're in Midjourney. You can go, to ChatGPT and pull up, ask it to give you all the best prompts people are sharing online or what they're creating, right? Compile that, and then you tell it your idea, and you ask it, for example, with the examples I've given you, figure out what good looks like for my idea, right? And if that's still, not at where you want to be, you diverge, you change direction, right? You create different answers for what good is. You use different styles, different prompts, different references. You go back to research. You really go in, right? So example here I have, right, is a portrait, right? So you can keep the subject the same while changing the light, the field, the print, the beauty of the subject themselves or the beauty of the environment, right? We can do all this stuff now because we have access to all these different tools with specific niches that they're good at. The other thing I personally like to do, which is collide, is say you find something and you know that it has potential, but then you try it and it's not really getting to where you want it. So you collide it with the other thing that failed, right? In Midjourney, the example there is you combine two srefs to create a new style, right? Or you give each sref their own style weight, right? So maybe you only want a little bit from this sref and a lot from this sref. You combine the two and you stop when it creates its own, when it has a new identity, an identity that won't fail like the two parts did, right? And of course, curation, right? And curation is really adding constraints to what you've created. If divergence and if colliding it creates so many different pieces, and there you were not constraining yourself, you were going in as many directions as you can. When it's time for curation, you bring that back in and you name your constraints. This is the world I'm trying to build. This is what my character should look like. This is what I need to do. And you apply those constraints to what you've already created in order to curate it so that you get to the images you want, right? And after curation, you can refine. And by refine, I mean taking it from Midjourney and going, say, GPT image 2. Hey, fix these fingers. Hey, add this color. Hey, here's an illustration. Turn it into a photo. My world needs this character, but in reality, hey, do this, that's where refining comes in, right? You've already curated what you want. Now you refine to, if you're going to take it into Photoshop or whatever else, that's the refinement process, right? And the most important of all of them is the compound, right? You save what worked, you save the failures, you save the path you took, right? You save all these things so that that work can help you the next time you're doing something, because the AI, your partner, can look at those examples. Hey, this worked last time. Hey, this didn't work, so I won't go down that path. Hey, this we could do better. Or this new project, none of these apply, but there's a lesson there that we can use for this new project. That's the loop.
Excuse me for a second, Israel.
Go ahead.
Where are you saving all this information of this loop?
Okay. So let's go here. We'll come back to this site, right?
Okay.
Let's go here. So I built this site, right? After building it with the AI, I tell it, okay, now the site is satisfactory. Look back on the 8 versions it took us to get to here. Look back on everything I said, figure out what worked, what didn't, and then write a document about it, right? Or give me a skill that's going to help. In this case, what it did, it added a skill to my web product studio plugin, right? The skill that's, and so next time I ask it to create a site, it knows exactly what to do, right? The default,
Are you talking about working with Claude or ChatGTP, or where are you having all these conversations?
this is in Codex, right? But what I'm
Okay.
saying is that this is generalizable in the sense that it applies to whatever tool you're using.
Okay.
Because the framework, right, is you define the job, right? You inspect references, right? For me, it's gonna go to my Midjourney for UI direction. It's gonna look at what I've generated, see what can work, right? It's gonna inspect my Google Flow, my Flora, my downloaded assets, right? It's gonna research publicly, right? To expand and fill in gaps. It's gonna compare, right? Different directions. It's going to build with real content. It's going to test, it's going to revise, and it's going to document and compound. So, last step, document. You document this and you can send it to your Notion. Every AI has access to your Notion now. You can send it to your Notion so that it can retrieve it anytime it wants. You can send it to your Google Drive. You can send it to whatever note app you take. But document. Whenever you work, ask the AI to document everything you did. Only pull out the most important of the frameworks so that next time it works, you can point it to that as the example that works. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but
Awesome.
you're giving the access to any of the programs that you're working with.
Precisely.
Okay.
Precise. This falls under context engineering. This is, I've always said this, right? No matter what you're doing, no matter which creative direction you're going, whether you make images, whether you make videos, whatever you do in AI, you better learn how to use the LLM. You have to learn how to get the most out of the LLM because that's going to be your partner. That's going to be the thing that helps you get to that next level because everybody has access to all the tools, right? If we all have access to the tools, every single tool is the same. It's who uses it better that matters. And that's where compound comes in, right? You compound that work. Because me, if I had to rebuild this site again, I've already stored that information. I can just open a new chat and I say, build this thing for me, reference what we did last time. That's it. I don't have to go into prompt engineering and pull out all this other stuff. I just have to say that because this site is there for it to look at and use as a reference. Okay. So that's the framework, right? And this is the framework we also use to create this site. So first, I'm going to show you what I pulled in my Midjourney, what I've pulled from my GPT image 2, and how it survived, right? Portrait direction. This is what was in my Google Flow. Roller skater at night. I can view it here. And of course, you guys are going to get access to this site. So I'm going to show you what you can do and how this can help you in your next activity, right? You can download this image here. You can copy the prompt I used here. Okay. Let me move my little flame guy. All right. So I had it go into my Google Flow and pull all these things out. This one is one of my favorite images. This is the character I created in Midjourney, and this falls under refinement, right? I created a character in Midjourney. I brought it to Nano Banana Pro, and I said, put this character in this outfit. And of course, I asked it to DAI the character, remove not all the freckles, just as many, to make her look a little bit more real, right? And of course, the prompt I used is right here. You can copy the prompt, make it your own. So this is my Google Flow work. This is my Midjourney work right here. If you check it out, you can copy the prompt, right? Or you can open right here, open original job, and see where I made it. Exact prompt I used. And the variations that popped up, right? Okay. Style collisions, right? So how I mess with portrait, style collisions, right? When you take one part that didn't work and another part that didn't work and you smash them together, you might get something that actually works, right? This one is a perfect example, as I used two srefs that I did not like how they were coming out, right? But I gave them both equal weight. I did not use text for this. I simply used, you can use full stops, you can use an emoji, anything when you're writing a void prompt, right? And here we can open the original job and you can see the variations that it produced, right? Okay, any questions? Before I continue. But yeah, you can check out all this work that I did. This is,
I have a quick question.
go ahead, go ahead.
Um, the interoperability of all these pieces of software is good. You don't get any lost information or that. I don't know what you're talking about, kinds of situations. Did you hear me? I'm sorry.
No, repeat your question for me.
I'm sorry. So you're using a whole bunch of different pieces of software inside of Codex. Codex is like becomes like a binder and more for
Yeah.
all these pieces. So when A goes to B and talks to C, do they understand each other well all the time, or is it kind of a the pieces that they need? Like here, you're referring to SREFs, combining SREFs.
Yeah.
So what's the workflow of getting all that information and putting it all together?
Well, for
Give me a
example,
general idea. I'm just kind of
yes.
curious.
Example, most of these, all these images I did myself by hand, right?
Okay.
All the AI had to do was pull that information and put it together on this site. But
Right,
when it's Midjourney, I will, like I say, test out an entire sref, right, with a void prompt and
right.
draft mode.
Mhm.
Let's go to my Midjourney. Let's go to folders. Let's go to style exploration. Let's close this. Let's go all the way down. Okay. It's a lot. Sorry. Right. So draft. I run a draft, void prompt, draft with an sref. I find it's going to take a minute to load, right? And once that output comes out, whatever worked, I do very subtle on it, right?
Mhm.
So that I can use it later.
Mhm.
But whatever didn't work, I start mashing the srefs together to see what else can come out of that, right? Because I don't want to waste those srefs I found. So maybe they don't work well alone, in which case I add them to on a draft, right? Run that because that's the cheapest way to explore at the moment in Midjourney is using draft mode, right?
No, I understand what you're saying, but my
Okay.
question is a little different. I'm just trying to understand the interoperability, the mechanics of all this kinds of, information flow between software A, software B, Midjourney going to some other software. And are they picking them? Is it picking it up? Is it translating it well? Is it an easy way to work? Because what you're showing me is beautiful, but it seems to be very sophisticated in that you know all these pieces of software and you know very well what they each can do. But and now then you go and you mix them, right? So you take, this Midjourney generates X, Y, and Z using, a melange of sref codes, etc. But then you want to make a video of it, or you want to make a poster of it, and so on and so forth. So how do you get, you're showing us a very seamless, I appreciate it, interaction, but is it work well? I mean, that's
Yes.
my question.
Yes, and like I said, right, it goes back to your foundation. Get good with the LLM.
So it's
That's all it
actually
points to.
using the
Get
LLM to communicate the information from A to Z
between
to,
the different parties. Yes,
okay,
I have spent the last month shoring up my LLM. As you can see, I
right.
have all these plugins here, personal plugins created by me for
Mhm.
my work, right?
Right.
So if I begin, right, I can begin with knowledge work for the research. Everything I learn, proof loop runs a loop that then gathers all the learnings, puts them away so that harness engineering can update my harness to make sure that everything runs seamlessly, right? I
What is
have
what is harness engineering?
harness engineering is how you set up your codex or Claude code or your custom instructions or whatever it is that helps the harness. Codex, Claude code, those are harnesses.
Okay.
How you set them up, that is harness engineering, right? I have
Okay.
Brand World Studio that runs that was running in the background. I have LoopKit that helps me complete everything. I have Codex Meme, that's my Codex memory agent that's always gathering memory. I have a video production studio. Let me open it. You see, and it has all these skills, right?
Uh,
That help it accomplish the task I'm doing. So all of these know exactly how I work because they're all built off my memory of how I work. I have the AI grill me on everything I do so that I have this in the background. So the next time I work, it already has all this information, all this context that it needs to get the job done.
okay. I compliment you. It's
Thank you.
it's very sophisticated.
To be honest
I
with you,
mean, you have to learn it up. It takes. I'm sure it took a while to learn it up, but it's very sophisticated to understand all the interactions and the subtleties of all the different
yeah. I will say
pieces.
this though. Gives you access. Codex and Claude, they give you access on with for a plugin creator, and they give you access to a
Uh,
skill creator. Any person, you literally can have the AI grill you. Okay, have
right.
the AI grill you, answer these questions, and then ask it. Use the plugin creator, use the skill creator, and create all this into an agent operation system or a plugin or whatever that
Uh,
will help me work through this entire process.
so you like OpenAI's Codex the best? I'm sure Google has something similar and Claude has something similar.
Yes. Can you? Oh, you guys can see my clock. Can you see my clock?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We see it.
Okay. So Claude, when you go to customize, right? You go to plugins. I have the same setup in my Claude.
Okay.
Yeah. And the purpose of this is When I run out of credits in Claude, I can just go to Codex. When I run out of credits in Codex, I can go to Claude.
And
But
they,
the same setup is inside my Claude. It's inside my Codex. And the most important skill that the plugin that they all have is the capability operator that audits and makes sure that I use the capabilities in the most optimal way possible, right? So
and
all it is,
they interconnect. So if you're at a certain state in Codex, you can go over to Claude and pick up from where you
yes,
were.
yes,
Okay.
because everything is always shipped either to my computer, which both AIs can access, my GitHub, which both AIs
Uh,
can access, my Notion, which both AI can access.
okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate all the information.
Israel, are they synced? I mean, you have an account on GitHub, and the folders from Claude, from ChatGPT, they are different. They're not the same. You
They don't,
use
yeah, they don't have to be the same. As long as Claude can read it, that's all that matters. And Markdown or HTML are your two best friends. Make sure
yeah.
each AI understands the work.
I've been using these a lot in the past month.
Yes,
I
sir.
haven't started to do plugins yet, and also the uh, structured system that you are showing, which is all done in a codex. It's something new for me because, like, I spent time, like, I made like 57 skills in Claude and two websites and but what I lack sometimes is a precise agenda. Like I spent a lot of time trying to look for what I did 1 month ago, and I would like to structure it in a way that at the end it connects to Notion, because I also made a lot of databases in Notion. It connects to Notion and said this is the delta of today, and so I can find all the informations and repeat them. Like, if you build something like a website and then you structure, you can have like part of the information which are always valid for any website. And then the design might change, the purpose might change. So there are part of the information you store in some places and a part of the information you store in another place. I don't know if I am being clear enough. Um, because what I do it moment by moment. Like, I don't have a long run project inside me, inside my head. I test, it works. Okay, so let's go ahead. Then at the end, I want to store like you are doing it. Like these are connected to your chat GPT. I mean, if I had the link, I would see uh, these informations, and but you get them directly. They are connected directly to some of your works in Midjourney and in other softwares.
Yes.
So
Okay. I
you have.
want you to notice something right now, what we're doing, right? If you notice, I am in Codex,
Mhm.
but I am showing the site, right? But you see, Codex and Cloud Code have an inbuilt browser. And because it's inbuilt, it means that whatever I'm looking at here, Codex is also aware of here.
Mhm.
right? I can always tell Codex, hey, pull up your in-house browser and go to Midjourney Alpha. It does that. Okay, I'm gonna log in because I'm not gonna give it my login. I don't trust it that much. So I log in and I tell it, okay, I'm logged in. Go ahead and go in my folders, go to this specific folder, pull out those images. Here's my criteria for what's good. Apply this for every image you look at and pull out the best images that you can find. And I will audit to see what's good and what's bad. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes. And then GitHub is your best friend. You don't have to know how to use it. As long as the AI can use it, or the code that you use to write a site will live there. And you can point both AIs to that code.
That's why you can have a single folder with the code and use it in both AI.
Yes. So this is how my codex works, right? I give it a request. It loads authority and context, right? That's my agents MD or my Claude MD. It chooses the source owner, right? And to do that, it routes to the right capabilities. So here it uses capability operator to route to the right capability, which is the right plugin or skill, right? Then it initiates explore, plan, execute, and verify, right? Validate and collect evidence that your verification worked. It saves output or receipt to one of the folders, and it preserves useful content by either adding it to my global agents MD, my workspace agents MD, or my project agents MD, right? So broad rules live globally. Projects contain only what their specific requirements need, right? My source routing. Where does it get my source? It gets my source from my Gmail, my calendar, my GitHub, my Notion, my Google Drive, browser for rendered state or web state, right? And public search for current public facts. Okay. Capability routing, right? After locating the information, the harness selects the workflow. Explicitly requested skill wins. Narrow task goes directly to own skill. Multi-stage task goes to a plugin, right? Unclear ownership goes through capability operator. And specialist skills only appear when the task needs them. This is about progressive disclosure and context engineering. This is so that my little timer here doesn't fill up with a whole bunch of tokens, right? And my usage limit, which is poultry right now, stays. You know, I only have 14% left, but yeah. And there's also deterministic enforcement. So AI is pretty good at writing code. Everything that it outputs, you can run it through code to verify if it sticks. Okay? If it doesn't stick, it's gonna don't ask the AI to just verify its own work. Ask it to use a script, a sub-agent to verify that work. Okay? So it starts with inference, right? It's gonna infer. If it gets it wrong, it's gonna go to instructions. If it still gets it wrong, it's gonna go to the templates. If it still gets it wrong, sandbox, hooks, brews, and scripts. Scripts are deterministic in the sense that 99% of the time you're gonna get the answer you want if it runs through code. And caveat there, I have no idea how to write code. I don't know it. But do I really need to know it if I can write a simple script, right? I'm not trying to write anything complex. I just need a verification script, okay? It has safety built into it. As you can see, I've given Codex full access to my network, but with strictness, right? Read-only inspection, smallest necessary change, backups. Before it ever changes anything, it backs it up. right? Proof and outputs, all my outputs go to this particular folder, right? With a date, a month, and a day. That's how I can easily find it, because I can say, hey, what did we do last week? And it's going to figure out what today's date is and go back to last week. Okay? Hope that gives you a little bit of insight into how I work with the LLM. Okay? All right, back to what I was showing you guys. So, illustrated before I continue. Any questions? Because I'm just changing subjects without any.
What's the difference between a plugin and a skill?
A skill is an instruction for one task. When the best practices for a skill, have a skill do only one thing, not multiple things. But then, for example, you said you have 57 skills. I would ask you to go back into Claude and say, hey, Claude, I have 57 skills. Separate them into categories and bundle each category into a plugin. And what that's going to do is going to bundle the skills that work together into a plugin. And now you have a plugin, right, that has a description. And plugins are necessary for context engineering in the sense that you can enforce progressive disclosure, so it only ever uses that skill it needs within the plugin, right? Or it can use them as a workflow, right? Case in point, if I'm writing something and I have a plugin that has a skill for research, right? Has a skill for draft, has a skill for my voice, has a skill for audit, has a skill for verification, and has a skill for final output, right? It's going to go through that workflow so that whatever I get is actually superior to if just one skill made it. So a plugin is just a bundle of skills or MCPs or APIs, whatever you want to add to that plugin. That's what the plugin is. Okay, any question?
When you go to start a project, do you have a specific concept in mind? I mean, that's how I work. When I am going to do something, I have something very definite in my head of what it's going to look like, what I want it to do, and have worked that out before I ever approach a program to start doing something. If I need to discuss it a bit, I can go to ChatGTP and get its thoughts about what might help to modify it. But this seems to me to be a great exploratory setup rather than I'm going here for a specific assignment today.
No, no, I give it my idea, right? And then I call up any one of these right here. You see, grill me, right? Relentless decision tree interviews, another grill me, sharpen a plan through interview, another grill me with docs, outcome engine. This is the plugin, right, that I've used. So I give it my idea. I ask it to interview me based on my idea or anything else that I'm missing, right? And I have another skill known, right? This is a plugin, Knowledge Works Superpowers, right? It has the same thing. So after the grill me session, I invoke the Knowledge Works Superpowers to do research on all the gaps, right? And from there, I'll have either one of my studio plugins or one of my image generating skills to start working on that, because now we've built the entire spec out with my own personal thoughts included, plus the research of the unknowns, because I only know so much. So even if it interviews me relentlessly with like 50 questions, my own limited knowledge right, won't fill out the gaps that are necessary for something I have no domain expertise in. And so after the grill me session is the research. After research is synthesizing that information, then turning it into either a prompt, a loop, or a project spec or something. And from there is when I start building. It's why here I document, right? First part of the loop is research for a reason, right? You research as much as you can because you want to have all the information you need. You want to have what good looks like before you produce good.
I know what good is in my head. That's my job. It's been my business for 62 years. So I don't need to research what good is. I know what good is. So that is not a step in my process that I need to go to, because my job has been to know what good is.
Then for you, I would say, if you're in the LLM, write goals.
Okay.
Because you know what good looks like, write it down for the AI as a goal. It needs to reach that good. That's how you should use AI, in the sense that you want loops and goals, because you know how, if you know exactly how to describe what good is, give it to the AI, because the AI barely knows what good is.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay. Experiments in flow. It pulled all this, I told it to go in which project to get all this done. It added the prompt, right? And you can download the image here. The thing I'm most proud of personally is, right, research library, your references. Here I have a bunch of mood boards that I've created that you guys can download the image or go to the exact mood board to check it out. And the image is in there. You can download them or you can use in a prompt and see how the mood board works. But again, right, this is part of what, for me, good looks like, in the sense that my mood boards help describe to Midjourney what a good looks like for me, what I want for it to give back to me. And most of the times I combine these mood boards to get something new. I have a lot you can go through here and check out and see what you like and just try out the mood boards. But this is one of my favorite steps. Using a mood board and building a mood board that's gonna inform my future work and make it distinct to me as much as possible, right? Okay, any questions?
Very basic. How do you connect ChatGPT with Flow?
With Flow,
Yeah,
the inbuilt browser, Codex, and if you have a ChatGPT account, you have access to Codex, right?
yeah, I have got it. Yeah.
Yes. Codex has a built-in browser. Let me go in a new chat. Let me close this, right? Right. So you can just tell it open your inbuilt browser, right? And it's gonna open it. It's thinking for a minute, right? See? Because they've already given us a skill on how to use that inbuilt browser. So it opens it. You can then direct it. Hey, go to simple stuff. Then go to my Midjourney Alpha account. Okay. So as you can see, the browser opened and it says I'll navigate open browser to Midjourney Alpha and confirm the page loads, right? And it's gonna do that. Mind you, it's it's already done that before. All right. You see that little thing right there? That means it's using the browser, and now it's in Midjourney, right? So, and then I can say actually open my Google Flow 2, right? And it's gonna navigate to Google Flow, and it's gonna open that. Right? And it's gonna see it opened it in this tab right here, and the little window to tell me that it has access to that, right? And I can go here, and I can go here, and if I need to log in, well, I don't need to log in right now, but if I needed to log in, it would have taken me to the login page, right? And this is here, but it also has access to any one of these pages that it's opened, and it can do work on my behalf, right? So that's how I make it use it, right? If it doesn't have an API access to it, if it doesn't have an MCP access to it, ask it to open it in a tab. The other thing, also remember that Google Chrome also has extensions, right? Codex extension, Claude extension, right? It means that when you open Claude in your Chrome, it has eyes on whatever it is that is open here. And you can tell it to use Chrome to do whatever work that's happening there. Does that help?
Yeah, it started with Claude, and then Codex right away in one day had all the same things that Claude, like browser, code, work, websites, even more.
Yes. Yes. The two super apps are pretty much the super apps are gonna look the same, right? And it all now comes down to taste. Capabilities are converging. If you've used, for example, inside ChatGPT, this is the only place you can access 5.6 Pro. Hold on, in chat. There we go. 5.6 Pro. Pro is a model as good as Fable, but Pro is only accessible in chat. In work, you only have access to Ultra, which is comparable, but not the same. What I'm saying there is that the models are similar in capability. The apps themselves are very similar. So you can generalize. If you use Claude, you can generalize and use Codex just as effectively. If you use Codex, you can generalize and use Claude just as effectively. But comes there, generalizing, right? Not necessarily doing something the same way, but using that framework that you used inside ChatGPT to use Claude.
Okay, so let me understand, like, I have these skills. Some of them interact because I build them in a way that they don't duplicate information, but they have a super skill which puts them together, like 4 or 5 of them. No, I could download the skills and use them in chat GPT, or even better, could I store them in GitHub, the skills, and make them available for both programs?
Yes. Yes.
Hey, Israel,
can do that.
when
Yeah.
you show us Claude, we're only seeing your Codex pet. We only see Fireball on the screen right now.
Oh, nothing else?
Nope, just Fireball.
I see that. Okay. Yeah, to answer Guido's point, yes. So this is how I would go about it, right? I would create the skills like you've done inside Claude. Then ask Claude to ship all those skills to to GitHub, right? And once they're in GitHub, I would then go to Codex. I would give it the link to that GitHub, and I would say, these skills were designed for Claude based on, and I'll probably give it like GPT 5.6's prompting guide. Based on your prompting guide, right? Update, audit, then update the skills and create a Codex version of each skill or ChatGPT version of each skill. So you will have two versions of the skills, because when Claude builds the skill, it's optimized for Claude. It doesn't
Yeah,
mean that it won't work in ChatGPT. In fact, it probably will, and almost all to the same level. However, personally, I would update it for for Codex, right? And the other thing, what you just described, right? The skill that helps you use other skill. Again, I would say combine those, right? Bundle them into a plugin. Because what you're doing is wasting a lot of context by having a skill read itself, right? And then reads all the other skills to find the skills that will combine best for this particular task you're doing, right? In which case you're adding more to the context as it's reading each skill versus
yeah,
if
more,
you simply have a plugin, it's not gonna bother reading the descriptions over again, because it knows this is how the plugin works. These are the skills I have access to in the plugin's description itself.
Israel, we're past an hour now, but I would appreciate it if you would stop your screen sharing and let's just open it up to questions. Flory's got a question already right now.
Certainly, let's do that.
Okay. Flory?
So I know that before all this structure that you just shared, which is just mind blowing, as always, we knew that Claude was really good at writing. Then ChatGPT got really good at creating images. Would you say that they're still the same? That Claude is better at writing and ChatGPT is better at images, or doesn't really matter now since Claude has design too?
I'll caveat it this way, right? Yes, Claude is still better at writing because that's what's in his training. If you read the news, Anthropic just paid $1.5 billion because they had used a whole bunch of books illegally to train Claude. That's why Claude is so good at writing, because it has a lot more writing data than ChatGPT does, right? So yes, you can still use Claude for writing, but because we have skills, we have plugins, we have custom instructions, we have scripts, we have code interpreters, ChatGPT can still be just as good as Claude, but you have to put in that extra groundwork to make it just as good. As for Claude is creating HTML. It's not creating actual images in Claude Design. However, I would go about it this way, right? If I'm designing something in Claude Design, I am first gonna generate those images inside GPT Image 2, right? Then give them to Claude Design and say, hey, this is your style reference for the UI you're gonna build. Make sure you use this style reference. What you're gonna get is something unique to exactly what you created. not necessarily Claude defaulting to its Claude design mechanism.
I have a question, maybe by show of hands. How many of you are using either Claude or ChatGTP to set up this type of a work skill?
Me,
Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
I was asking how many of the people that are here are actually using Claude or ChatGTP to set up this type of work skill. I know about it, but I've never done it myself, mainly because of the projects that I've been working on haven't really needed me to be doing that. I need to be concentrating on the work that I'm doing. I have discussed with ChatGTP about setting up this type of a thing, but also addressing personal things like finances and of all these AI programs that I have subscriptions to, which one should I be dropping because I'm not using them, or what ones do I really need? And it will be able to do a critiquing of that type of a thing as well.
Yeah. Go ahead, Greta.
When you start to play with skill, it's like addictive. Like I could do a skill to go for the bathroom, but then have like Israel is showing like an idea of a structure and framing that's more complex. Is not only the next, is more advanced. So sometimes it may sound very complex if you don't have like if you are not acquainted with the skills. But I can understand what he says. I don't know if I will be able to repeat, so probably I will call Israel many, many times.
I think we are really blessed to have Israel doing this for us, because truth is, you can go step by step by step by step, doing every little minute detail, or you can use what he's giving us and go by lips, because I feel at this point that every time I hear him and every time he shares something with us, there are 10 steps in between that I don't have to learn how to do and try and fail and try and fail, because he's already done that. So I'm very grateful for everything you share, because for me is literally saving me probably weeks, if not months, in experimenting and failing at something, because he's already done it. So thank you.
Let me ask you, how long have you been building this very complete, complex thing that you have that you're working with?
To be honest, it's been in my head for a while, but this is what I do, right? If I do something manually, like Flory said, step by step by step by step, as I said in my framework, right? Compound, right? Once you've done that step by step by step, that now becomes the standard operating procedure. Record that, right? Ask the AI to save that and turn that procedure into a skill, so you don't have to reestablish that. It's already there. So it's really like, for example, for you all, right? You know how to do a lot of things. You understand the goal that you want to get to. So whenever you work on a project with AI and the LLM was involved, ask it then, okay, this is what we did, revise the steps we took, everything that worked, everything that didn't, and turn this into a skill that I can reuse going forward, so I don't have to re-explain to you this particular thing. So remember, a skill only should do one thing and one thing great to your standard. It shouldn't do multiple things, in the sense that if you have a skill for prompting, that's what it should do. It should simply write prompts. It shouldn't understand. If it needs to understand something else, create a skill that understands that.
The
And go forward with it.
The Luma agent is doing that sort of a thing. When you're working on something and it is, something has worked, it saves that skill and in order to come right back to using it right there. And that is there in my access to Luma.
But see, Israel said something really important that I bet I'm not doing, and I didn't realize until right now that I'm not doing, is going back and telling it to pay attention to that, to see what worked and what didn't work. So I would go and chat, and then from there go on to something else without going back and fixing or saving that structure in a skill. So I think this is gold, because I didn't realize that I didn't even do that. So you need to give it feedback to remember that something worked or it didn't work. So yeah.
One of the things that I'm thinking about in terms of the projects I've been working on with Luma is that I no longer want to say, okay, take that picture and let's create a video around it, because it really doesn't translate it that way. And I waste a lot of points by doing that, because what it's doing is making me look at a thing and say, no, that's not working, here, try this. What I've decided that I'm going to do is when I'm ready to do the video based on the still images that we've created together, is I'm going to write a prompt that is describing exactly what I want to happen in the scene, because otherwise I'm just wasting credits.
Israel, do you record your screen when you work?
Yes. Most of the times I do, because sometimes there's a lot of missed context on my behalf if I have to describe it. Because sometimes I'm working so fast, going back and forth, you forget exactly what you did at times. So having it recall, having it save it somewhere, having it record the workflow, and even if you're using Chrome, for example, having it on the sidebar, because it's watching what you're doing. So every step you take, hey, write this down, write this down, write this down, write this down, write this down. All right, now compile that into a single framework inside a code block, save that, save it somewhere. There are those, like, saving it. And so for myself personally, I suck at knowing what good looks like. So I need all this hand holding, the AI holding me along the way. But then for it to hold me better, I must make sure the next time I have it holds me the right way. And it's up to me to make sure it does that. Otherwise, I'm just going through the same thing I went through then, and it gets incredibly frustrating. Having to explain to the AI, hey, this is what I wanted. I thought we established this already. So yeah.
I'd like to open the floor up to anyone else that hasn't spoken yet that might have a question or comment.
Actually, Israel, in the chat, there is a comment about where you share these tools. I will let you handle it, but I did drop the link for you.
Yes. And I'm gonna share a lot more. Currently, to make it as easy for you guys as possible, I'm rebuilding my harness engineering plugin that I can then share with everybody. And all you have to do is simply tell Codex, hey, install this thing and audit my harness, right? Audit my instructions, audit my skills, my plugins, and it's gonna handle everything to certain specification. As far as sharing, we share everything in our Discord. It's always in the resource docs, and I'll share more in there. But yeah, And you can always just at Israel, hey, I want to do this. Can you share a skill or a plugin or whatever for me? And I'll go ahead and do that as long as Amanda and Carissa and Sabina allow me.
I would like to ask Eric or Glenn, who both have the same kind of background as I do in advertising, what your feeling is about working this way. Do you think this is something that would be of assistance to you?
Hey, Miguel, it's Glenn. Yeah, I'm so far behind. I wouldn't even know where to start. So I wouldn't be able to be using it starting anytime soon. Probably take me a few months to figure this stuff out if I even get there.
Well, I think
But I so appreciate what Israel's doing. It's just hard. My brain isn't wired the same way. So
I think
yeah.
you could go to either Claude or ChatGTP and ask it to set up something like this.
Yes.
Sure. That's another way.
Yes,
You
because
can
all the components are already pre-built inside your account. All the components that you need, the plugin, the skill creator, the review, everything, the auditor, they're all pre-built inside your app.
Eric, any thoughts?
I couldn't find any of the link of Discord related to these harness.
This is the Curiosity House of Curiosity Discord channel.
Yeah, I know, but it's under Israel. There is not the prompt that refuses to drift.
Okay,
I mean,
I'll have to ask Carissa where they exactly are, but I will share something with you, Greta. So not to worry, I got you, brother.
And I'm sure you can do some posting on House of Curiosity of where to access some of the stuff we've been talking about today.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well,
I just have one thing to say, Israel. When you're doing this, I mean, obviously, it's all experimentation and refinement and experimentation again, which we've always done. When you're working on a particular project, do you have something in mind that you want to create as an end result versus, you know, working along and seeing what happens at the end of the day?
Usually, yes. I don't necessarily know what it looks like. Is why I do so much research. But yes, I have the idea, and because AI is getting expensive, and so you want to go in there with a purpose, even if it's not fully fleshed out. But you have to have a purpose to use it. And if I go in there just to mess around, I'm just wasting money I do not have.
I think this is the crux of the differences in people's backgrounds. Eric, you and I and Glenn, we think visually. We have a visual language that the three of us understand without having to put it into words. And we've spent years trying to put it into words so that the account exec can explain it to the client. But we have this visual language. I literally, Israel, I can visualize anything I want in my head, and then I can literally turn it around and look at it from any angle, and then illustrate it from that angle. I have that ability. I have had that ability by as long as I can remember. So I live in a visual world where I have to try to figure out how to vocalize that to a chat program. But on the other hand, I've been doing that for years, explaining to an illustrator or a photographer exactly what I want from them. So it's just a different background, a different set of I don't know if you want to call it skills or experience, but
Domain expertise.
Yeah, I mean it's what we do. I mean, my biggest problem is not coming up with ideas or coming up with a visual. My problem is having enough time to do them all. You know, I mean, that's, I can't turn it off, frankly. I have, like, when I get a job from a client, I have to immediately figure out what are the steps I'm going to do in order to create that end desired image. Because if I go to bed and haven't figured that out, I'm going to spend the night, whether in dreams or waking up, solving that problem. You know, so I solve the problem before I go to bed, and then the next day when I get up, all I have to do is do the steps that I know I'm going to have to do, because I know what I have. I know how to do it. You know, that's just, you know, 62 years of experience all going into play. I find this whole thing very fascinating, and I think that most people would find it useful. Like I said, I intend to go to ChatGTP and set up a workflow type of thing after I finish with this half-hour TV show pilot that I've been working on for months. You know, I frankly haven't been able to work on it this week. Why? Because I'm doing all this stuff for LinkedIn and the big AI challenges and what's coming up next on the main event. But maybe after I have a nap today or tomorrow, I can start working on it again. I find this whole thing fascinating, and I really appreciate you being here and speaking about, well, what's coming up. We are fortunate to have you and the whole team coming back very soon. August 21st is when the whole team is going to be here. Looking very much forward to that. Before that, next week, episode 174, we're going to be looking at people's responses to the Big Al, Big AI challenge of history. And just a reminder to people, we've got 1 week to submit stuff on that. I did one, and I've gotten a response from Romano, posted a thing that has been in there, but those are the only two things that are there so far. And then the following week, I met recently Giselle Wiggins. She is in Florida, and she's creating videos, working in videos, and seen a number of her music videos that she's done for clients that are maybe hip hop groups or whatever, different things. So that's coming up. I don't have her scheduled yet, but I have someone I feel it's a coup getting her, because this is a woman who is actively working in film. Is currently she's in Bristol, England, but she's working remotely with Hollywood on a TV show. She told me she's working from 3 in the afternoon until 11 at night because of the time difference between us. But this is Thea Cook Campbell, and she has agreed to be on the show. She just has to tell me which date works for her. But I think this will be very interesting. This is somebody who is really in the industry doing stuff, and I think will be very exciting to have her on the show. So that's what's coming up. Of course, next week when we're looking at the results of the July challenge, we will also be introducing what the August challenge is. So I'm all ready to do that. And thank you, everybody, for showing up, especially Israel and the rest of the House of Curiosity team. I feel like I'm, and one of the reasons, Inspire, I've been coming to your event twice this week. I'm just trying to get more and more experience with you guys, One of these days I will tell you why. I have my ulterior motives.
It's not going to be on August 21st, is it? Is that when we find out?
No, no. You will find out about this privately, and you will have months to think about it. But I do have something in mind.
Oh man, my interest is definitely peaked, Al, for sure. Now it's gonna drive me crazy until we
Well,
find out.
I'll
So,
try to put something together in a way that is a positive presentation to you guys, so that you have time to think about it. But I definitely have some things that I want to discuss with the whole group.
all good. The anticipation is a good thing, and like we appreciate you being there. I know me twice a week is a lot, so I appreciate it.
Well, I'm going to stop the recording now, guys. And again, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. And Israel, anytime you want to come on and wow our group here, you're always welcome to do so. I know you wow me every time you come on, and I truly appreciate you and everything that you are doing and everything the House of Curiosity is doing.
Really appreciate it.